everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we are working on picking up our hay bales, our round bales from the field, from the east and the far east field. I showed you a recent video of us going out there. We've been cutting, baling, a little bit of tedding going on. It's been so hot, sometimes you don't even have to ted it if it's a little bit thinner sander area. So that speeds up the drying process. Also, it's been in the 85s and 90s. It was 95 degrees when I went to town last night at about 6 o'clock at night. So that tells you that this hay is sitting out in the sun, aging every minute it's there. So he's bringing back the hay bales, and he's bringing them back two at a time with the front of the backhoe bucket. You can bring a third one back on the rear of it, and it really saves a lot of fuel in that transport of moving that. You also want to save your hay from aging. So if you can't put it in the barn, you want to put it under wraps. So today we've got a big tarp for house roofing, and it is huge. So we're able to get 3 or 4 bales wide in this area, but as you can see, we're parking the bales in front of the house in the driveway. And what he does is he pulls out the round bale wrapper, he sets it up, and this is a temporary coverage. Eventually, they're going to get all wrapped like this. These are, I believe, second or third cuttings from last year. I don't remember which. And this is a new bale. Now, this has been sitting out in the sun, I believe, 2 days. And the outer edge is turning brown, and even here. So a lot of people do what's called net wrapping. And net wrapping helps the water shed from the bale if they're going to be left outside. A lot of material cost and waste involved in that. We try to do things as simple as possible. We're environmentally conscious to a point. It's organic practices here. There's always going to be some hay product used. The wrapping takes a lot of product. Just string wrapping them, not so much. But that's really good for immediate hay sales or setting inside. Not so much setting outside. Let me show you a little bit why. So these bales were round baled on Mother's Day and the week of Mother's Day. And this bale's been sitting out in the sun, and we just started feeding from it today. This inner part, totally green. And I don't know how much the camera is picking up on that, but it is green. Here's a live green weed, dandelion weed growing next to it. This part is sitting, this was a layer in, and you see how fast it starts losing its color. As you start unwrapping that, it's plenty green on the inside, and you can smell that it's green and fresh, but we want to keep that green color as long as possible. So these are just some bales that we didn't wrap or tie with the baler. He just harvested it. It rolls as it's harvesting it, and then didn't string tie it. This one he brought back must be today. And you can see that's almost looking like straw. It's losing its color so fast in this heat. String wrapping is fine. The cows don't mind. Hay customers, goat customers aren't so picky. Sheep. But this is just what's picking up ground moisture and everything from it sitting here for about the last week and a half. So if that's net wrapped, it's going to protect the bale from picking up this moisture. And if it is plastic wrapped, it's totally protected. It's not aging a bit. You could open up this hay in years and it's going to smell like fresh hay. So really good way to do it if you're not feeding silage. We're feeding cows. They have pasture grass, but we take them in 2 bales every couple of days there in the feeders, and they're just loving it. This hay is much better quality than the square bales that they've been getting. So you have to watch and make sure that they don't get too loose in their stools, and kind of adjust their feed with some old and some new mixed together for that. But this is our round baling project. This will go on just a few bales at a time, however much he wants to do it. He found last year when the wrapping was ending, you can find a spot to take your end and tuck it in to a previous section. I like that idea. He did taping. This is the white Gorilla brand tape. They did okay for the winter, but a lot of them are just kind of loose. This one held real good. And if it's got a neighbor next to it, it didn't affect it so much. But they're sitting out in the weather, they're sitting out in the sun. If you do nothing, then you can end up with this, and that can become messy. But this is what we've got for hay storage right now. And these are gonna get all wrapped up. So we'll cut to later in the video and show you the bale wrapper and the process of storing them for long term. So Guy has had a busy morning so far while I was doing the covering up of the hay and other things. It looks like there's about 37 round bales that he brought back today. So quite a few trips for him. There's all these. It's lunchtime now and we have a straw delivery to make. So we're gonna take a break for that. These are gonna have to get wrapped tonight or tomorrow morning. And this section, you can see where I ran out of tarp, but about 16 of them I guess are under cover, ready to go. And I gotta have him tie this load down so that I can make a delivery. Farming is like that. You have to switch gears and change from job to job during the day. I set out today thinking I was going to come outside and start painting on my chopper, and I haven't even gotten into it yet. I've said it before, but I'll tell you, this car hauls everything, and this is not its first time. We made our straw delivery. Our tip is a cut down hardwood tree and a complete trunk load of firewood already ready to go. That's like another $50 tip. That section is doing good. It's all laid out and drying. It got all tedded yesterday. Complete. Now this first section, he just kind of picks a mark like a tree way down there, and that's the start of this section. He's treating it all, you know, separate field like. He's done it that way for a couple years now. Like I said, instead of going around and around, it just seems like when you're doing it that way, the field never gets any smaller. This back and forth, doing a strip at a time. So today he's going through with the hay rake, getting all of his hay into windrows, and he'll come out here with a round baler and do some more round bales today. It's been a good weekend for us. Several bales have already gone out for sale. That helps pay for more baler twine, grease, fuel for the tractors, you know, anything else. Everything for our farm just goes right back into the farm all the time. George is helping with the hay raking today. He got to do a little bit of tedding yesterday, work with the gravel. He loves it. He's at the age now where he can stand on his own and work a little bit and tell his dad when he wants to quit. You can't do it when they're too young. They'll just fall asleep in your arms. He's a happy guy. A lot of times Trey is doing this work with his dad. Trey got new mower blades put on his riding lawnmower last night, and he is just super happy. Couldn't wait to get outside this morning as soon as it was dry enough, which in these temperatures does not take long. I think he was done mowing by 10 a.m. Just great. It has been probably 3 weeks since we've had a rain. The fields, like across the road, they haven't planted because there's no moisture for the seed to grow in. They were able to knock down the weeds over there, do some pre-planting tillage, and that's it. That's the case all around us. It is already looking like normally we would do a second cutting 4th of July, right within that couple of day period. Where we have cut hay, it is already turning brown and dry. The grass isn't coming up behind for a second cutting. So who knows when that second cutting is going to happen. If you are buying hay and you're waiting for second cutting, you'd better find any second cutting from last year you can, or get your animals used to the first cutting. We were a head start on that first cutting hay. So the south field has a little bit of growth. The east field is not having any growth and it's just turning brown. If you are not putting up some hay stores now, if you're having to purchase hay, you may not be able to get it later on. And I think that really suffers a lot of the small homestead farming, that they're having to pay a lot or travel far away to be able to get their hay. We have a lot of hay customers come and say that their normal guy didn't get the hay that he thought he would have gotten. He didn't get a third cutting last year. A lot of people got into the fields late last year, so that affected it. This year, maybe we're not getting enough rain. It showed a 24% chance of rain for 1 hour, 1% all the rest of the day. Within an hour or two of checking it, it had changed to 0. So all of that chance is just gone. Any growth, any moisture we're getting is just night dew. That's the nice thing about raking. You see the work, the progress so quickly. With tedding, it seems like it goes on and on and on forever. I've done tedding. I haven't done raking in a couple of years. Trey got old enough to do it and I just got bumped out of the system. So you can see how small this row is for being doubled over. This was really tall, over like thigh high, and I'm not short. So this area is a little thinner anyway, and you can see this is 3 years. You can still see rows where the planter was, and this is all getting filled in over years. It's just slow. Some people, I know a couple of shows we watch, they rip it all out. They don't get the yield of, say, alfalfa that they want. Now, if you're planting just alfalfa, it would be different, or just grass. I've said in previous years we do a mix. It's alfalfa, grass, different orchard grass. Timothy, he knows all the combination. But see, then you get in here, way thicker. So different kind of soil, same, location. That's why it can change so much from field to field. Over here, he's having to do single rows because it's way different. When he was plowing this, there were thistles in the clay and the weeds come out to fix what's wrong with the soil, what's going on with compaction, dryness, whatever. There's a really good show, I mentioned it before, Goats Eat Weeds, and it tells you kind of the cycle of weeds and what's going on. So let's go over there and go see how big those rows are. Now, when he first started farming this field, he had noticed a lot of washout through the center area, and there is a road drain that goes from the other side of the road that was attributing to that, plus just the downhill flow of the water joining up with the creek into the woods. He decided to plant a waterway, and that solved the problems of the washouts. So now we had a hay grass waterway, and I don't know what type of grass it is, but it's always different. It's real skinny, and it even dries differently. So as this dries, we can always tell a difference in the barn that, oh, that's the waterway grass. It was really soft and nice, but it's always also a little bit wiry, no matter what cutting you get. So it looks real good. It looks like mostly grass, and I would say it's probably, you know, not more than 20% alfalfa in this section, even though it was planted as a mix. So kind of see with the contour behind me where that waterway goes. That original planting is still there, and now that we're behind us and over this way, just going along in these long strips, it might make up one bale versus, you know, 100 bales going and doing the waterway the way that we were with the stack wagon. This is the planting controlled our weed problem with not spraying. I've said before that we're not certified organic, we just use organic practices. The certification for organic comes into play with sales and profit. So for us, we would make zero money if we tried to get certified organic, because the company that comes in and certifies you, it's not like a government program. They get a fee of your total sales. You report back to them, and they get a commission, basically. I don't know for how long, but as far as I see, you have to get recertified every couple of years. We looked into it years ago, before we were able to. You have to test clean for several years and then get certified, and that certification expires. It's not forever. So to get recertified, you're agreeing to keep paying again. These walks are beneficial. You don't want this in a hay bale. So we're by a road. This is a long ways. This thing has been chucked around a little bit. Things surface over time. So I've been walking uphill, and just to show you from this angle, now this hay is a lot greener. You can see different kinds of stems in there than just the grass in the waterway. It's also not quite as dry as it was over there. It's thicker, bigger rows. So where he had one row there, he's doing singles, and it's gonna all work out. You don't want to have your windrows too large, because then you'll just clog up your baler. That's a real problem with a plunger on a square baler, and he has to watch his speed with round baling to make sure he's getting the tension right. Otherwise you get sloppy, squishy bales that don't stand right with the round baler. So the raking is going along very fast. It's got to be noon now. The sun feels like it's straight up. He'll probably bale this. Maybe he'll go over there and do that. Maybe he'll wait until tomorrow. I'm not real sure, but I bet you he could probably be baling that section over there by tonight. I wanted to make a comment real quick, because our viewers are always able to leave comments down below, and sometimes it's based on experience, or sometimes it's based on something they read. So a viewer left a comment that we were breaking so many hay rake teeth because we had the hay rake set too low. That's not the case. The minute we switched to the John Deere and this other brand that was through the John Deere dealership instead of the Tractor Supply hay rake teeth, it's been 2 years now that we've done that. We have not broke one hay rake tooth. We have not replaced a single one of those original ones. The only ones that we have replaced at this point are the others that had not been switched to the John Deere. I forget the name of the other brand that started with a P. I'd have to go back and find that. But if you go back, search through the hay videos, hay raking, Trey has changed many a hay rake teeth, and he can tell you that these hay rake teeth are holding up fantastically. So it was worth a couple dollars bigger expense to invest in those, because we were literally just throwing away the money going out replacing the hay rake teeth, every raking job, the same teeth over and over. Another question I've received is if we're going to be square baling any first cutting, and we're not square baling first cutting for two good reasons. Cows love first cutting. They could care less. If I tried to give them a second or third cutting from last year right now, they turn their noses up at it and they will continue to moo to get some of this first cutting hay that is round baled. The customers that are feeding animals a lot of times don't even want the first cutting hay, and that's why I say you can't always get second or third cutting, and you're going to have to try your animal on the first cutting at some point to see. Now, he's taught me some differences about round bales and square bales. A customer can say if their horse won't eat a first cutting because it's too stemmy or too large, but if it's round baled, you get that full length of the grass, whereas if you are square baling it, it's chopping it with the plunger and dividing it into smaller bits, so you're not getting that big long stem. So for animals such as that, I think the square bales are fine for first cutting. You know, personally, I'm not feeding any horses, so that's just my opinion about it. But essentially, I don't see any point of doing this labor in 85, 90 degree weather, storing it in the barn for it to turn brown when we're going to have some nice second cutting to be able to fill that barn. We've still got some second, some third cutting square bales in the barn that we'd like to use up and continue to sell those before I start adding more bales to that as well. Good, good, good. That's the word of today. The baling is going good. We had a break for lunch. Nice warm breeze going on, and we've got some beautiful bales. It's really nice to be able to sit them here under the tree in the shade. Look at that.